Hello everybody, welcome back to the video, and today I'm going to be discussing NCIS. Now, if you don't know, the show is actually reaching its 1000th episode. And when I say reaching, I mean it's almost here. It's only a couple episodes away. So today, I want to look at a few things I think we could see. So, obviously, first thing that probably comes to mind, returning characters. Now, we know Fornell will be in the episode. But could we see someone else? I think the most likely candidates for return are Tony and Ziva, because they have a spinoff in development for Paramount Plus, and so I think it could make sense to maybe use the episode as a backdoor pilot to explain, hey, this is what they've been up to, and, maybe the antagonist of this episode could serve as the antagonist for the Tony and Ziva spinoff. Or someone connected to this episode's antagonist, but we'll see. I think there's a more interesting route for the villain, but I'll get to that later. So, I mean, they could literally have anyone show up. There's a wide variety of recurring characters and characters that had left the show. I think it's possible that we could see someone return, but at the same time, I just don't know who else they're going to get. Probably Tony and Ziva. That's just my guess for returning characters. Well, obviously we know Fornell, but in addition to him. Okay, so I think this episode is going to feature the departure of a main character. Yep. I think they're going to want to do something big for 1,000 episodes, and I think that's going to be providing a shakeup. They're going to get rid of someone and then change up some of the dynamics on the show as an aftermath of that. So, who do I think it's going to be? Well, I don't think it'll be Palmer. They just did the Ducky tribute, and that episode is basically a Palmer episode. It is not going to make sense to do that, and plus I think it would be disrespectful, honestly. So, I think McGee, is too much of a fan favorite. He is a fan favorite. I'd actually argue he's the fan favorite for people that are still on the show. For when it comes to the characters that are still on the show anyway. So, I mean, yeah, it would be a shocker. But at the same time, well, it does seem like they've kind of set him up to be the next director of NCIS. But before that, they'd have to get rid of the current director of NCIS. And yes, that's what I'm suggesting they're going to do. I think they're going to get rid of Vance in the 1000th episode. Why do I think this? Well, let's just start with it as this. Let's start with this part of this. Sorry about that. So, Vance has been director of NCIS since the closing minutes of Judgment Day, which was season 5's finale. So, he's been the director for a long time. Plus, there's also some interesting routes that you could go when it comes to having a villain. But I'll get to that in a minute. You want to provide a big shakeup to the show? Well, changing the director would provide the biggest shakeup maybe since season 5. Yes, characters have left, but this would have a fundamental, giant impact across not just the regular NCIS, the main show. It would have an effect on the spin-offs as well. And 1,000 episodes, I think they're going to want to do something big. Plus, with the exception of the mega crossover, they didn't really do anything big for season 20. So, I mean, that's just my opinion. Is I think that if they're going to get rid of a character, they're going to get rid of Vance and just have a giant ripple effect throughout this. I think that's what's going to happen. And then they will have McGee become the new director. Last season kind of set this up, in my opinion. So, yeah. But I did say there's an interesting route that they could go for a villain when it comes to having this episode be about Vance. So, Vance he has had a lot of different villains that have kind of been targeting him or were the result of his actions. But no villain more so than Jonas Cobb, the port-to-port killer. Now, if you don't remember this villain, let me explain. So, in Season 8, there was a serial killer who had been dubbed the port-to-port killer, and in the penultimate episode of Season 8, it is uncovered that this villain, Jonas Cobb, was the end result of a CIA project that was the idea of Vance. So essentially, the whole thing is Vance's fault. Kind of, sort of, tangentially speaking. All right. He also plays a role in defeating Cobb. Now, very clearly, at the end of the episode, Cobb is dead. But here's the thing, is we don't really know that much about the villain. I mean, for these big episodes, they add in new pieces of information that had not been known before. When they revealed Ziva was alive several seasons ago, it was through a case that no one had ever heard of. So, I mean, what if the villain is somehow related to Jonas Cobb? Now, I'm going with Cobb having some sort of connection to this episode's villain, because if it is going to be a Vance episode, it would be interesting for that villain to have something to do with Vance, a vendetta of some kind that had been seen on screen. And Vance sort of created the project that led to Cobb, which led to his death. So maybe the villain wants vengeance or is a copycat and decides Vance is going to be the first victim. I don't know. I mean, there's several options they could go with, but regardless of how the episode ends, I think that there are going to be some giant ripple effects across not just this show, but maybe the spinoffs, the ones that are out now and airing, and the ones that are in production. So there you have it. That's what I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see some returning characters, probably Tony and Ziva. It's probably going to be a Vance episode where he will depart at the end of the episode, and the villain will have some kind of connection to Vance. Now, here's the thing. If Gibbs were returning, I would say 100% the Reynosa cartel. But there's nothing to suggest Gibbs is returning for this episode, and so I think that they're not going to want to do that. Unless they want to have it be a Vance episode where the Reynosa cartel, I don't know, maybe target Vance to try to get Gibbs to come back. I don't know. That seems more like a season finale type thing, not mid-season. But anyway, that is it for this video. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below of what you think could happen in the episode. And also, like the video, and don't forget to subscribe. That's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.